Testing. Hi, and welcome to a brand new video that is all about music artists and social media. So I wanted to do this video to share some tips and tricks for music artists to utilize their social media to the fullest, and hopefully it will help just push things along a bit. I'm only going to touch on the surface because the subject is so deep and so filled with endless tips and things to learn. So yeah, it's just going to scratch the surface. So I've mentioned this before, but I think it's important to pick two focus channels because you can't just spend all your time on social media, it's just endless. So I would choose these focus channels by looking at your strengths, your preferences, and where your audience is. Go for Instagram if you like photography, you're good at photography, you find yourself taking photos all the time anyway. And if your brand is very visual heavy, so like Melanie Martinez, Lady Gaga, they're very visual beings. So Instagram is going to be a really good choice of platform if your aesthetic is a dominant force within your brand. Twitter, I would advise for anyone who is a good communicator, has a good use of English or Danish if you're Danish, really good level of your own language. If you're opinionated and if your brand is politically driven or has a strong sort of social environmental message, yeah. Facebook, I would advise for anyone who feels slightly overwhelmed at the thought of social media or would like to do as little as possible. I think it is still a dominant platform, especially amongst older audiences. So if your audience is particularly young, then I would maybe avoid Facebook. I'm just jumping back in to say if your audience is particularly young, then you want to look at TikTok and Snapchat, because I think the kids are still using Snapchat and TikTok is apparently a really up and coming channel. So check those out if you want to be down with the kids. How I see it is the all-rounder. So you can post articles, you can post photos, you can post YouTube videos. It's sort of a one platform does all. But the most important point is to consider where your audience is. And if you don't know that, then do some research, ask around, do surveys, do whatever it takes to work out where the majority of your audience is, and then see if that is a platform that you can work well with, and then try and find the balance between what you can do well and where your audience is. YouTube. So choose YouTube if you enjoy filming and editing, if you're particularly charismatic, or if you enjoy talking on a camera. Not everyone will do. Or if you have particularly interesting or entertaining everyday shenanigans. So if you're full-time as an artist or a band and you're constantly like on the road or recording, you constantly have things to share, then maybe like a behind the scenes vlog or things like that would be a good route to consider. So once you've picked your main two focus channels, then the next step I would advise is to have a little research about the best times to post. So there will be dominant times on each channel, and they may vary between channels, of when your reach will be organically the highest. So research best times to post. Look at time differences where your audience is in the world. If your audience is in the US, obviously you need to cater to that time zone. And then obviously test it out. Don't just take that for granted. Like pick 3 or 4 times throughout the week where you think, okay, these potentially could be good. Test them out. Maybe do the same post at 2 different times, and just to see the level of reach and engagement and how it differs from time to time. Once you've tested it for a couple of weeks, then you know which times you definitely need to post and which ones can guarantee you the biggest reach. So after this, you can come up with a list of content ideas. So I would advise whapping out the social media in one day and for it to see you through however many weeks you can do. You can do it as you go, but I think if you are putting effort in and planning it, then it helps to sort of schedule it ahead of time, which brings me on to my next point, which is scheduling. So come up with a list of content ideas. Know obviously where your releases are, when your tours are, when occasions, Christmas, Easter, Halloween, and you can work those into ideas as well. And then you can go onto the scheduling and come up with a calendar of content basically. So you know which day, which posts are going out. Next step, tags. So this is one of those topics that you could delve into for hours, so I'm literally just going to touch on the surface of this. Obviously, hashtags extend your reach, so you need to figure out which tags are best for you. And Facebook, I don't use tags. I think Facebook is more about timing, but YouTube and Instagram in particular are tag heavy. So you need to make sure that you're tagging your posts in the correct way so as to reach the majority of your audience or the most people that you possibly can. So for Instagram, you don't want the really big tags with millions and millions and millions of posts, because your post will just get lost instantly. But you also don't want the ones that barely have any posts. So you want the sweet spot between maybe 5,000 posts and 200,000 posts. So if you search for a hashtag on Instagram, it will tell you, you'll be able to see how many posts that tag has. So I would maybe put in one big one and one really personalized one, or two, and then the rest keep them in the middle spectrum. For YouTube, you can search in the search bar a phrase, and then you can see everything that people search for to do with that phrase. So if you put in band vlog or behind the scenes vlog, you'll be able to see the exact search terms that are around that topic that people have searched for, and then you can take those and then either add them to your tags if they're relevant. Consider your heading as well in regards to those terms. With Twitter, you can look at what's trending. So this wouldn't be scheduled, obviously, this would have to be a kind of improv, but you can, if you are quick-witted and are quick with words, then you can look at what's trending, and if you have anything of value to add to a specific topic that people are talking about, whether that's knowledge or it's just funny and entertaining, you can add to that topic, and then that, because the topic is trending, it gives you more chance of being seen. So just 3 little tips to end on. I would say post regularly. It doesn't have to be every day, but try for at least once or twice a week to be consistent. So it's definitely scheduling helps. So if you look at the apps Buffer and Hootsuite, they are options for scheduling posts that you have created ahead of time. Last one, interact with fans. Don't ignore people, just answer any questions you get, answer messages you can get within reason, and just stay active on the platforms, because the more active you are, the more likely your posts are then to be seen. I'm just popping in again with one last tip, and that is to work on your copyright. So if you're not the greatest writer, then maybe get a friend on board who is, and so with your captions in all these social media things, whether it's YouTube description or Instagram caption or Facebook post, you've got to tell a story, and you've got to sell that story, and you've got to invoke emotion, and that is what will help to engage people. So you need a great photo or a great video, or the visual thing as well, but don't forget about the captions. The captions are equally as important. Hope that helped. Happy social mediaing!